Hello, everyone in the Secrets of Sleep Baby and Toddler Sleep Help group. My name is Courtney, and I wanted to share with you today all about why I created the 3 Weeks to Better Sleep program. So, I just wanted to get started a little bit with my background. So, I've been a doula for many years. So, I became a doula right after I had my son. I was like, oh my gosh, that's why we need doulas. If childbirth was not the most, fun thing you've ever done, then, I feel you there. I was like, "Oh, that's why we need like emotional support people." Like that was awful. So, for many years I worked as a doula. I worked, attending births, and I also worked as a postpartum doula helping moms with new babies, just, general baby care. I noticed that some babies slept really well and then others didn't sleep well. And doulas, we have a little bit of like training and education in baby sleep, just the basics, but definitely not like the extent of a sleep consultant who has, extensive amounts of training in pediatric sleep. Um, yeah, I found that it seemed like nobody knew anything about baby sleep, and like it just seemed like a mystery that why babies slept well or they didn't. And as doulas, our job is just to be present and just to be there and just to help with the babies. It's not necessarily to like solve problems in that sense. Like, obviously, if we can help with breastfeeding and solve that problem, great. But in general, if babies are sleeping well or not is not necessarily the thing. We're just there to take care of the baby when the mom sleeps. But something that happened was I started to work with families that were working alongside of pediatric sleep consultants. And then as the doula, I was helping put like sleep training into practice. So I wasn't the expert, I was just like an extra set of hands, helping with the hard work of sleep training, putting it into practice. And I definitely saw massive changes. I saw babies go from waking up constantly to babies that slept, either, through the night or very well for their age, that sort of thing. So I started to notice that, like, oh, wow, like this is a thing. I didn't have the education, I didn't understand it necessarily or know it, but I knew that it was true that sleep consultants made changes and that babies started to sleep really well after changes were made. So at the time, I wanted to know more. I wanted to, I just thought it was like such an important topic that not very many knew about, that I had been a doula working with babies for so many years, and I still didn't have a really good understanding of why babies slept well and why they didn't and what was causing it. So I joined a very attachment-based sleep consulting program. So it's actually based out of Australia. Attachment-based meaning like building a bond with your baby, um, toddler, children. So I joined this attachment-based program because I find that, as a doula, most of my clientele, their number one concern would be, baby crying, and or just, babies feeling abandoned. So we don't want babies to feel abandoned. And the program that I took, we learned all of the strategies and all the methods. So it's not that I'm not familiar with a cry it out method, but we, learned all the different methods, and then we prefer more gentle methods. Gentle methods is another way of saying like gradual methods and methods that you can always attend to your baby. So that's a little bit about that. Um, it's just meant I could help families like solve the problems. I brought really practical like education to the table. And I just loved, yeah, like solving the problems that we don't have to continue on with our sleep challenges all the time. We don't have to just, wait it out. Because I feel like this is just something that, I hear it from just about everyone. Well, eventually my baby will start to sleep through the night. Um, you know, I hear toddler families, like eventually my toddler will go to sleep okay. And to me it's like, or right now you could choose. You could choose not to say eventually anymore. Right now, you could choose to make a change in sleep so that your baby sleeps through the night now and has really great sleep habits, continually. Because that's the thing, is if your 7-month-old right now has sleep challenges, how do you know that they're not going to have sleep challenges when they're 2 or when they're 3, right? Because these things all carry over. It's not like something that you will just kind of suddenly, you know, grow out of. It's like, you know, I'd love to teach you all about, pediatric sleep and, what helps kids to sleep really well, why your little one's waking up so much, what to do when your baby starts teething or, has a new milestone and starts to, stand when they didn't do that before, and how to get sleep habits in a place where they can once again sleep really well afterwards. Um, and how do we prevent bedtime battles with toddlers? Like we go over that because I really want families to have a really good night of sleep because I've been there. I've had kids that were terrible sleepers. I have stories and I post about them. My son was a wake up every 40 minutes at night kind of a kid. Oh my gosh, like I felt like I was gonna die. Thankfully, I made some changes to sleep. Someone gave me a program. It was really harsh methods, not my favorite. I struggled trying to put it into practice because I didn't really know anything about pediatric sleep. So I struggled and I struggled and I struggled, and eventually I kind of figured something out that worked for a while. You know what I mean? So it's like joining the 3 weeks to better sleep program is a way to, help your little one get a really good night of sleep at the end of the 3 week program. It's a really great way to learn about pediatric sleep and set yourself up, just like as a family when it comes to like sleep habits and boundaries, set you up for success for, those toddler years and all those future years. And it's a really great way to not have to just keep waiting it out. It's a really great way to be like, man, 3 weeks from now, I could just be like on top of the world. Like some of my clients have finished the program and she was just like, it's life changing, which is so exciting. I'm so glad, right? Because now people can focus when they go to work, right? Now when, their little ones go to bed at, 7, something along those lines, instead of super late, they can spend time with their spouse and reconnect and have that quiet time instead of this like struggle all night long with their baby or their toddler. Instead of, being tired and woken up constantly and feeling like annoyed with their little one, they can wake up in the morning and look over at their baby and be like, wow, you're awake. I'm so excited to see you, and be excited to spend the day with their little one instead of being so tired. Like, this is why I created the program. Like, if I could go back to when I had, my kids and, if I could have done the 3 weeks to better sleep program, I most certainly would have done it because it's just like, I see people struggling and struggling and struggling and struggling when they have a way out, right? Like, that's why I created this program, for there to be a way out of the struggle. That's what it's all about. And I just wanted to make a note as well that for the month of January, I've created like a little bonus offer, just like a 1 month after you finish the program follow-up call. I've just noticed that a lot of the babies who have gone through the program, like right at the end of the program, we have our goodbyes, that sort of thing. I give kind of some future recommendations for like, okay, if your baby is 12 months old, this is what I recommend for their, when they're 18 months of age, something like that. That's how I usually end it off, kind of making sure that they have success for the future. But then I noticed that a lot of babies had gotten sick, like right after we did the program. And then, of course, people are messaging me and I'm just like, let's just set up a call, no big deal, right? To make sure that when they're done the program, then a month later, they can still, get back to really great sleep after. So I've just decided for, the month of January, we can do it for the month of February, that after you finish the 3 weeks to better sleep program, you can have a bonus call, 1 month later, and we can check in and be like, okay, like how is sleep going now? And if your baby, gets sick, you can still kind of have that, feedback for how to get really great sleep, back from sickness. Because I know that sickness is tough because sometimes our babies need to be snuggled more. Sometimes, sometimes they need more comfort. And then it's like, okay, comfort them, yes. But how do we then, make sure we have healthy boundaries in place, shifting our boundaries and, going back to making sure that they are self-settling so that they can have a really good night of sleep. Okay, so if you are at all interested in the 3 Weeks to Better Sleep program, please post below this video and I would love to chat with you. I would love to, the way we go about it is we set up like a sleep strategy call, so just a free sleep strategy call where we talk, you chat about your little one's sleep, what it looks like for you, and then we go through different ways that changes could be made. Okay, so very practical call, but I definitely welcome you to join the 3 Weeks to Better Sleep program because I can do a million sleep strategy calls. I can tell you what it is. I can tell you what it is causing the challenges with your little one's sleep. I can give you an idea of what a strategy looks like to make changes, but unless you actually decide to take the strategy and put it into place, unless you know how to do it correctly, which I know is very challenging if you have not studied pediatric sleep, unless you jump in and join the 3 Weeks to Better Sleep program, I definitely cannot guarantee that you are going to actually see really great results at the end. But I definitely recommend, come join the 3 Weeks to Better Sleep program. Come get a really good night of sleep. Like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I do because, I'm a mom, I have 2 kids, I know what it's like, and I want, families, like I've spent the last, 8 years of my life working with families with babies, and I know it's so hard, and, to me, it's like, but it could be so much better if our kids slept as well as they can, possibly, right? So if they're 4 months of age, that could be 2 wake-ups in the night. 6 months of age could be, one wake up or when they start to sleep through the night. Like, that is what they are biologically able to do. But if they have really good sleep habits, they can do that, but not necessarily without. Okay, so I welcome you to join the program. Thanks so much for listening, and I would love to hear from you. Post below.